Alright guys, this is part 2 of card fight Vanguard discussion. So we're going to go take it right to Bryan right now with his choices of decks.
Yep, so I'm just going to tell you about the two best plans you can do if you are a defensive style player. Number one is Gold Paladins, and Gold Paladins actually have 3 different builds. They have Azel build, Spectral Duke build, and Pelennor build, and I'll explain all 3 because they both have good options. And this is one of the reasons why I do like that deck is because it does have a ton of options.
For Chrome Jailer.
No, Chrome Jailer actually mixes into one of those 3, no matter what you do.
I mean, you can mix it into
Because, okay, starting off, I'll start with Azel. After it got its break ride, it became one of the. Okay, after it got its cross ride, it became one of the big decks. It became one of the top decks of the league. It has a superior ride, which allows you to get to grade 3 faster than your opponent would, allowing you to do extra twin drives. It has great trigger setup. It has more than 2 of every trigger. And each one of its triggers actually does have a skill, so you can mix and match whatever you want to do for any style that you want. And it hits for extremely big power from the Vanguard and for the Rios, depending on what you do. So it's an overall really good build. It's a little difficult to get some of the things because things like the cross ride and whatnot are kind of pricey. But overall, it's probably one of the best options you can have right now. The second build, Spectral Duke, is my personal favorite. It's great hand advantage, great consistency, it's really good. Its biggest weakness is if you rely on the chain, then you're going to find yourself having a lot of hardships, a lot of problems. So it's one of those things where you have to really malleate yourself, think on the fly, understand what you're doing. But if you can, there's a big payoff because Spectral Duke's ability allows you to counterblast 2, retire 3 of your units, but he stands himself, giving you another drive check. Combined with the drive check you had before, giving you 3 cards. So, and then the third one, Pelennor, is all about superior calling units from the top of the deck and from the deck. Great to use with cards like Garmor, so you can call your units. Chrome Jailer, so you can do the same thing, and also it gives you units that you can sacrifice for the abilities. And Pelennor itself actually has a superior ride ability where if you call it from the deck, you can discard a card and ride it, and it rides standing. So Gold Paladin probably has the most options out of them all, and I would say the most. Okay. I'm just gonna say, most expensive of the builds is Azel, second is Duke, and then third is Pelennor. So, moving on from that, the second one I would suggest is, I would actually say Kagero is a really good defensive build. It seems like it's an aggressive type, or at least that's what a lot of people try to do with it, but it has the best field control of the game. Almost everything that Kagero does is about controlling space, keeping certain units off the field, and it only got better with Dragonic Overlord at the end, which in itself is a really aggressive card, and with its 13k base you don't need as much to guard for it. So I would say that Kagero is probably one of the best defensive decks, but you have to understand that it is a defensive deck. If you try to get too aggressive with it, you're very likely going to lose, unless you're really good at Vanguard. So with that said, those are my top 2 picks, Gold Paladin and Kagero. So let's move it on to Peter, who's going to go to the next 2.
aka Jet. Alright, so mine for aggressive playstyle are going to be Bermuda Triangles and Spike Burst. So first I'm going to do Bermuda Triangles. Now Bermuda Triangles has at least, I'm going to say 5 different ways you can build them. There's the 2 ride chains, which is both Riviere and Aurora, Star Coral, which both are in themselves are aggressive and also defensive at the same time. Like with
they're more aggressive because they want to hit.
Yeah, for like Aurora, what you do is you rely on bouncing your units to your hand to give plus power to other units, and it's basically just you keep doing that, you Soul Blast, you get more power, and and just hit for high numbers. And the best thing about this is that if it's worked with the break ride with it just plays really wonderful. You'll be able to bounce 2 cards, and then you'll be able to just do everything. With Riviere, if you play the ride chain, you also get pluses. If you ride the grade 2 over the grade 1, you get a draw a card. Grade 3, draw a card. And with her ability is you can Persona Blast, which is get one of the same copy and give plus 5k to 2 units? 3 of your units. So it's like a mini Soul Saver. Now for big leads, we finally, in the new Dazzling Divas, we finally get our own cross ride, which is Pacifica. Pacifica is a very aggressive and also defensive at the same time, but really more aggressive on the playstyle. Because one, she's a 13k base if you have the cross ride on it. Her ability is Counterblast 3. It bounces 2 cards to your hand, and you can call 1 unit, doesn't matter what grade it is, into that rear guards. And it just really pushes for like final game and stuff like that. And it's really aggressive. With Pacifica's ability, you can basically stack triggers under your deck and stuff. So later, if you're in late game, you can just see them a lot. For Prisms, I would have to say this is the most aggressive deck in the whole thing. It's just because of Labrador's ability is not in my case, it's not broken, but it's very good. If you have 3 empty rear guards, when she attacks, if you are able to successfully call 3 Prisms, and I quote, Prisms units to the rear guards, she'll gain an extra 10k plus critical. She's like a mini break ride. Alone, she's very good. She can hit the number quite easily. And with her ability to counterblast to bounce cards, it makes it a lot easier to do her limit break more than once. And with the starter, it also has an ability, if a card is bounced, you can bounce that card as well. So Prism is the most aggressive out of it, and I play it. I suggest you guys play it, but not my kind of style. If it's not your style, then you can just go play the other ones. They all work well. Next one is Spike Brothers, which they really don't have a lot of builds right now, not until set 10, which is in December, like they said. Right now, Spike Brothers are limited to what they have, but when the new support comes out, they'll have multiple Vanguards. But right now, we're going to be talking about Dudley Emperor. Dudley Emperor is a boss, in my case. I love Spike Brothers because they're footballs. Spike Brothers are very aggressive early game, but when it comes to late game, they really lack the hand advantage and field presence sometimes. But if you're a good Spike Brother player, then that's not a problem for you then. Dudley Emperor's ability is Limit Break 4, Soul Charge 2 from your hand, and call 2 units from your deck. And this combo is great with High Speed Bracky and Juggernaut Maximum, where their abilities are, if you Soul Blast 2, they give 5k. So
Soul Blast 1.
Soul Blast 1?
Yeah.
You Soul Blast 1 each and they give 5k, which is a very good combination. Now, I am going to give you guys a couple things. Like, in the new set 10, they will get a lot of new support. The Break Ride, of course, which is like basically Dudley Emperor if you Break Ride over it. And they have new support cards, too. My favorite out of all of them is like a Blaster Blade clone. Her name is Love Kiss Miss Olivia, which is when she is called to rear, you can Soul Blast 2, get rid of a card in your front row. So it's like a Blaster Blade clone, except for Soul Blast, which is, in my case, really good. And then we got a card named Dudley Mason, who in some cases is a really, really good card. If this unit attacks hits the Vanguard, I believe.
Yeah.
Hits the Vanguard, I believe. If you can counterblast 1, put them at the bottom, and call something else out.
Actually, no. You just call.
You just call?
Yeah. And then that card goes to the bottom.
And that card goes to the bottom. So basically, you have multiple attacks per turn. And you get out Dudley Mason, Dudley Mason, Dudley Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now, Spike Brothers are really cheap. I advise you guys, if you're going to play very aggressively, pick them up. They're really cheap right now. They're going to go up in price a little because they're still not really played a lot in America. Depends on playstyle in the American format right now, but I'm hoping they do because right now I think Spike Brothers really have a chance to take a lot of tournaments by storm. So now I'm going to leave it to Charles, or aka
Mizawa.
with his 2 decks.
The 2 decks I'm going to talk about, which are part of like a balanced format, balanced playstyle, are Great Nature and Royal Paladins. As far as Great Nature, go, our cameraman's with me off. as far as Great Nature goes, your two main cards for grade 3 spots are Leopold and Bison. Or there's also Polaris, which is like insert third field, which is a lot better than Bison in most cases. Leopold itself is what you're mainly going to want. Because Leopold's a really consistent 10k card, which counterblast 1 during limit break 4, and it brings back a Great Nature card. So like the basis of Great Nature is just giving power and retiring units. Well, because of that power. They have a lot of really consistent cards as far as drawing and filling up your hand after calling things. So overall, playing defensively while also playing offensively is extremely easy for the deck. The only problem with it, I'd say, as far as playing, is if you're playing early game and you're attempting to rush someone, it doesn't work out as you plan unless you're able to back up the ability to draw cards and retire. That's pretty much it for Great Nature. Like, they pretty much come to an offense and defense style themselves, like with little to no effort from the actual player. Next up would be Royal Paladins, and I'd say Alfred would be your best choice. I think Jonathan was thinking about Alfred beat earlier. Royal Paladins in general have a lot of consistent calling and a lot of power as far as Palamedas and things go. So the power, offense, and defense to keep cards in hand because of your superior calling is extremely easy to do. And that's pretty much it. There's not really much to say as far as Royal Paladins go besides you ride Alfred. You use Palamedas, you can call Blaster Blade and control the field. They have an extremely easy time of offense and defense, like Green Nature did. Recently, they wanted me to talk about Shadow Paladins, but I think that's more just my playstyle of offense and defense. Overall, the clan really punishes you if you go too offensive early game, or you try and become too defensive and you don't get your plays off. I think that's about it. And we are Team Meaning of Truth, and we'll see you guys later.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and ABC ya.